So you had your first audition. 20s, how'd it go?
My last audition was for vaudeville. I was a big hit.
I was in front of Ziegfeld.
Mrs. Ziegfeld. Mrs. Ziegfeld.
Did you book it?
I don't know. I sang, I danced, I was gay.
Joey went in for Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl, and he was in Jesus Christ Superstar Live. And before the dance call, I gave him the advice to say, hey, so when I was in Jesus Christ Superstar Live on NBC with John Legend, we actually started on the right foot. He didn't take my advice. I don't know why.
Quickest way to piss off a room full of people. Roll the music. I did not do that, DBs, just so you know. I did not do that.
You would never. Welcome to I Think Not, the podcast where we feel older by the day, dancing in rooms with children, reclaiming our Broadway youth. Welcome. I am your host, Ellen Marsh, and across from me is my best friend, my best gay, the cutest man in all the land, Joey Taranto. Hi, honey.
So sweet. How are you? Look at you, my beautiful honey melon dew, the most beautiful woman to ever grace Facebook.
Okay. Welcome to I Think Not, the podcast where we recap all of your true crime TV shows, episode by episode. This is the last episode.
You'll see of us. This is the last you will see of us. Goodbye.
You all, if you do not see our Instagram post, our Facebook post, we're not going anywhere. Tell them, Joey. Tell them what we're like. We're like...
Y'all, let me tell you something. Welcome to I Think Not, where we are like herpes. You will never get rid of us. There ain't no ointment, ain't no pill, ain't no cure. You think you rid of us, and then boom, we pop up again. We shall return like the good Lord. Jesus is coming back, and so are we. Always, okay? So you don't have to worry. Where the fuck we gonna go? We got nowhere else to go. You stuck with us.
There you have it. That's our official statement. This is our last episode we're covering of Killer in Plain Sight. And our next show we are covering, you all, I am so excited. We are covering Scam Goddess. You can find it on Hulu. There's 6 episodes. We're going to do 4 here on the main, 2 on the Patreon because you know we love a good scam. We just can't help it. If you want to catch up with some of those other shows like Pink Collar Crimes and How I Married an Axe Murderer and all that stuff, that is on our Patreon.
Yeah, go over to patreon.com/IThinkNot, and for as little as $5, you can get 4 bonus episodes a month. 1 including our true crime adjacent show, which we're covering now, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Also, if you loved our Love After Love, Locks of Loves, Lovesins, there's lots of it on the Patreon.
There's tons of bonus episodes, and you can also be a member of our close friends circle. I have started a new series called I'm High, Let's Watch Videos on Instagram, and those pop up around on your close friends circle around midnight every night. You are welcome. And also, Joey, guess what Harris and I have been working on all week?
The new merch boxes.
The new merch boxes. Tell them what it is, Joey.
It is a box filled with merch. And I helped.
We're going to the episode. We love you. Okay. Season 1, episode 4. I'm not even high.
I know.
Season 1, episode 4 of Killer in Plain Sight, Killer Hookup.
To solve the case, investigators must follow the clues to find the killer hiding in plain sight.
Well, we are in Columbia, Missouri, at the University of Missouri. You know, I love university. I love college. When I went to college, I had a great time.
No, but, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not calling you out, but we share everything with these people.
Yes.
They know you didn't go to college.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. I did go to college for like 2 minutes and quickly realized it was not for me. But you know what college I did go to? The School of Hard Knocks. Okay? Where I learned the hard way. I learned things that nobody should ever learn. Okay?
Like what?
Things like a 2-day-old chalupa. Not that bad. I also learned that mistaking condoms for regular balloons and putting them up as decorations at a baby shower is not the move.
Okay.
And I also learned that in a pinch, olive oil has several uses. Anyway, think about it. I haven't. So
yeah, so Thank you for all of that information.
Yeah, what's that
And,
degree called?
Yeah, Joey's degree, obviously. We're in a big old college town in Columbia, Missouri, at the University of Missouri. And there's not a lot of really interesting police work to do.
Sure.
It's like, normal breaking up parties, all the frat house nonsense, public intoxication, noise violation, young men who think that foreplay is 8 seconds of finger banging, normal arrestable offenses. You can get arrested for that in Missouri.
I have been a terrible influence on you.
Yeah.
Truly.
That good? Can I stick it in now?
No.
You cannot, Chet. Jesus, it's an oven. You gotta warm it up. Anyway.
Yeah, mostly the cops are shutting down frat parties. But on this day, June 5th, 2004, police are called because a body has been discovered between two rental homes. And it's a young man who's only wearing blue running shorts and has a fatal wound to the neck. And coroners determined very quickly he's been dead since about dawn. It's really...
Right, okay, so I have a question there.
Yeah.
What time is dawn?
Well, dawn is the dawn of time. It's when the sun comes up.
Is it? It's like, what time do you want to meet? I don't know, about dusk? Like, what is dawn? How about midday? You want to go, what are you doing Tuesday around twilight? How about that? What does dawn mean? Early? Give me a time. Hey, why don't you give me a call around siesta time?
Well, listen.
How about that? Like, I truly have no idea what dawn means.
Well, I'm going to tell you what the Google says. Google says dawn, the first appearance of light in the sky before sunrise.
Right, but what time is that?
It's different everywhere, Ellen. What the
This
fuck
is
do
what
you
I'm
want from me?
saying.
You know
Why
what
did
they're
they
trying to say. It's early morning.
Was it 5? I don't know. Just say dawn. No one's going to question it. Have you heard those two asshole podcasters? They question everything. Just say dawn.
Well, listen, I'm going to drag this show several times during this episode, so we can start with dawn. That's fine. We all have our burdens to bear. You want to take on dawn? That's fine. I've got other ones I've got other grievances later
you all
on.
buckle up. There's going to be some gay rage in this show.
That's right.
There's no blood on the man's lower body. He may have been lying down when his throat was cut. There are no defensive wounds on the body, but the ME does find some red material under the fingernail for DNA testing.
So we actually learned the identity of this poor victim really fast. Not by a medical examiner, not by an autopsy, but by Officer Stephen Rios. He says that he knows this guy because he runs the beat around the college. He knows everyone. He knows all the residences, and he knew the guy. He's like, I know this guy. He's, I don't know, like 23 years old. His name's Jesse Valencia. And that was who this victim was. He was a student at the University of Missouri. He was actually studying to be a lawyer. And Jesse was a really nice guy, but he was fiery. He had a bit of an argumentative side, and he was openly and proudly gay. Like you, you're a bit argumentative and you're proud to be gay.
Comes with the territory.
That's the trauma. It's trauma.
But it turns out that Officer Rios was like, I actually met Jesse not that long ago when I was responding to a noise complaint at a house party. It was a frat party a couple months ago.
You can tell it's a frat party because everyone is standing outside with red Solo cups. The details, okay? Nothing gets by me.
You know that before I bought cups for this house here in Los Angeles, I was drinking out of red Solo cups.
All right, you are such a boy.
I really am sometimes a boy.
I bought you all new Crate and Barrel stuff. Did you take that with you?
That's in my apartment in New York. How was I going to get it out here?
You did not leave all of that nice dishware in New York.
But how was I going to get it out here?
How did you get all the rest of your stuff out there, Joseph?
I didn't take any breakables.
I cannot believe you left those dishes in New York. Your subletter is using the Crate and Barrel dishes I bought you?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Joey just had to take off his sweatshirt, and we are not even 5 minutes in. I spent a lot of time taking
I know,
those
and I
out.
love them.
They're black.
I love them. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, you know what? We said we weren't going anywhere, but maybe we have to have some offline conversation.
We will now have a short intermission.
Everything's great.
Okay, Let me get back to this. Okay, so Officer Rios says, I was responding to a noise complaint at this frat party. I get there. I see Jesse and another guy hanging out outside. And I'm like, hey, go home. And Jesse's like, go and fuck yourself. I'm not leaving. So because he refused to leave, Officer Rios says he arrested him and charged him with obstructing a police investigation.
We learned that Jesse lives alone, and he doesn't live too far away from where his body was found. So they go right to his apartment, and they don't have to do anything because his front door is wide open. And then Maureen, the FBI agent that we've seen in all these past episodes, she says this.
His apartment is messy, but there's no sign of a struggle or forced entry.
Okay. We are dealing with a young college man, a young gay man out and about living his life. Why are we dragging this poor man for being messy?
Yeah, listen, you know what we are busy doing? Being gay. Can you do the dishes? No, I'm gay. Can you do the laundry? I'm busy. What are you busy with? I'm being gay. Can you mow the lawn? I am gay. And it's very busy. I'm busy.
Every time I ask Joey to do something work-related, he's like, that is really homophobic. So he is not lying. And then she goes on and says this.
Under some clothes near Jesse's unmade bed.
Ma'am, what are you, the tidy police? What are you doing here? What are you, neat Nancy over here? Why is this, what are you doing? Why are you dragging this poor kid? Not every person wakes up and makes their bed. Some of us wake up and choose chaos all day long, and then we get right back into our unmade bed every night, okay?
Listen, I want you all to get a window into my ADHD brain. I am an autiste, and I'm not always organized. So I just want to show you a couple things in arm's reach that's at my desk right now, okay?
Joey is reaching for...
I have a Happy Holidays card from I don't know who.
Okay.
I have an empty bag of Skinny Pop popcorn from when we did Swamp Talk the other night, stoned. I have an empty cup of coffee. I have an empty Coke Icy, okay? I have my resume.
Okay.
I have an empty bottle of Smart Water.
Okay.
I have an empty bottle of Essentia water. I have sushi. And I have coupons. Okay?
My turn. Okay. I have an empty kombucha bottle. I have an empty tumbler made by a DB. I have another empty tumbler, also made by a DB. I have, what's this? Highlighter. I have an eyebrow pencil. I have my makeup bag, a beanie, and stickers for hanging stuff on the wall and not ruining your painting. Down here, I have another tumbler made by a DB. And to finish it off, I have a Costco-sized scrub and bubbles that I used to clean the top of my desk about 2 weeks ago and didn't bring it back upstairs.
Also, for some reason, I have bottle caps everywhere.
All we're saying is let this man live. Why are we talking about the Tara Grinstead of it all? Leave these people alone. If something were to happen to us and they went through our house, they would invite people over. They would be like, look at this girl's drawers. What is it? Is this the t-shirt drawer or the jeans drawer? Because everything is in here.
They would walk into my apartment and be like, this person has mental health issues. And they would not be wrong.
There has been a struggle, but it feels like an emotional one on his end. Feels like a mental health struggle.
The struggle was internal. Yeah, so let me just tell you, if you call a gay man messy, you're homophobic. If you call a woman messy, you are misogynistic. Or if you call any person of color messy, you're racist. So there we go.
Yep. So
and I stand by those words. I'm ethical.
Police find a used condom, which is collected for DNA testing.
This show decided to not only tell us that, but give us a reenactment of an officer collecting a used condom, and I mean someone from props took a condom and filled it with, I don't know, pudding? Like, bro, in this case, let us use our imagination. We're fine using our imagination. This does not deserve nor deem a reenactment.
I could not agree more. We need to use more of our imagination. Podcast listeners use their imagination all the time. I feel like we could have done something else. We could have done a cutaway. We could have done a voiceover. We could have done animation. We could have done anime. We could have done a puppet show. We could have done a live show. We could have done a Broadway. Anything other than a jizz-filled condom. What if the director was like, I want it to be realistic. Someone jizz in that condom or you're all fired. Also, this is not a gay thing. This is a man thing. Men, throw out your condoms. That's disgusting.
God love you for thinking we still use them. So now they speak with Jesse's neighbor.
And reenactment neighbor is asleep on his reenactment couch. And he says he gets awoken by a bumping on his wall. Not that kind of bumping, you dirty birds, okay? I thought that too. No, it was like someone was being like body slammed against the wall almost, and he heard someone say, stop it, stop it. And he was just like, hey, I'm sleeping on my couch over here. Keep it down. So the neighbor banged on the wall, quiet the fuck down, and that seemed to stop the noise, and the neighbor went back to they said he went back to his bed, but he just went back to the couch. He came from the couch. So why are you, if you hear the noise, whatever. Anyway, it sounded like a tussle. So now with the information from the neighbor, they know that someone was in Jesse's house that night. So they're thinking, did he have a date over? Did he bring someone home from a bar or a club or a party? In which case, if that is what happened, out of everyone on this massive campus, how are they going to find this person? It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Oh, sorry. This is a gay couple. It's like trying to find poppers on Pride weekend. Impossible,
I think they're everywhere.
They've been bought up. There's no poppers anywhere. What's a gay to do?
Well, earlier that evening, Jesse had been at a house party, and retired FBI agent Bobby Chacon, or whatever the hell his last name is, I don't care because I hate him. He pops in to say this.
Jesse had a busy social life in the gay scene around campus, and he had a number of sexual partners who are now suspects.
Why y'all slut-shaming this man? First of all, if this was a straight guy in a fraternity, you would be like, he was popular. He was the big man on campus. And now you're saying, this man fucked so many people, we didn't know where to start. Everybody's a suspect. Fuck you.
Yeah, listen, just because Joey does the chocolate cha-cha with every single twink in West Hollywood does not mean you can drag this poor boy, okay? Listen, yes, Joey is a semen demon, but he deserves respect.
Did you say chocolate cha-cha?
No, it is very true. We are making a joke out of it. I fucking hate that when they do that to women, and they're doing it to a gay man. I'm just saying, you're absolutely right. If it were a straight man, they would say he had good luck with the ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually kind of disappointing, but I told Joey, we were talking about this off mic. I was like, baby, this is what we deal with as women all the time.
Yeah.
And to Joey's point, it's not like we have much experience with this because we can cover the number of queer cases we have covered on our hands.
Yeah.
Or I think maybe it's been like 4 or 5, maybe 6. We had 2 trans cases, a couple, it's like, It's not very often we get queer stories. And when you do, you're slut-shaming them.
Yeah.
And listen, Joey is a slut, but Joey does not speak for the entire queer community.
But I should. I prefer the term popular.
You're gonna be popular.
All right, so anyway, the DNA results come back from both the used condom and the material taken from underneath Jesse's fingernails. One DNA profile came back from the condom, but 2 DNA profiles came from whatever was found underneath his nails. Whatever the profile was, all of them are unknown. They're not in the database.
And that's going to make their job so much harder, only because of the 2 separate profiles and matching them. They definitely have the odds stacked against them, and also they're homophobic. Police go through Jesse's phone records, and they find a number of people that he talks to frequently. One person they saw on there a lot of times the day before that he was murdered. And this man's name was Ed McDevitt. And the last call that Jesse made to him was at 3:13 a.m.
So they bring Ed in for questioning.
McDevitt tells investigators that he and Jesse had a casual sexual relationship, and the last time they had gotten together was 2 nights before the murder.
Jesse and Ed got a ride home from their friend Jennifer.
Jen was like, that party was fun. I'm actually having a party tomorrow night. You guys should come. And so they're like, cool, let's go. I mean, because it's college. That's what you do.
Totally.
You go to a fucking party every night.
Yep.
So the next night, they go to
How would you know? But okay.
I did go to Bible college for a year, and the parties there, they were lit. Let me tell you, there was hummus, and there was Jesus. Okay?
What's at the party? Mostly hummus. A little bit of Jesus.
So Ed goes home with Jesse that night. They hook up, and then they make a plan. See you tomorrow night at Jen's party, right? They go to Jen's party. Ed says, Jesse invites Ed to come back over again. Ed says, bruh, I gotta work in the morning. I'm going home. Jesse stays at the party, but not for much longer. And that was the last time Ed saw Jesse.
After Ed is questioned, naturally the authorities have to take his DNA, and he hands it over. He has nothing to hide. And Ed's DNA was a match for the DNA that was found in the condom. Now, remember the 2 profiles that were found under Jesse's fingernails? Well, Ed was also a match for that one, but the second one still didn't have a match. Now, Ed is on the back burner, okay? So he's not off the hook yet. But you all, they continue to drag this man all up and down this episode, talking about his busy life. He was busy on social media. He was meeting people here. And they find someone else on his social media that's of interest, and that man's name is Andy Sharmahorn.
Now, Andy was also one of Jesse's friends with benefits, right? And they had hooked up about a month ago at Jesse's place. And Andy says, well, while we were doing our thing, there was a knock at the door. And it's a cop who just walks in, shines a light in Jesse's face, and tells the 2 to keep doing what they're doing. And Andy is like, what the fuck is happening? I have to tell you, I don't know what I would do in that moment other than maybe not ask questions, grab my clothes, and run.
Yeah, I don't know what in the hell I would do. It is so terrifying. But Jesse was like, no, it's cool. I know this guy. So I guess now we're having a threesome. Andy's like, okay, just 3 normal dudes. One of them is dressed like a cop, just some bone smugglers hanging out and having a good time.
Dressed again, he tells Andy to keep their tryst a secret. When the cop's leaving, Jesse asks when will he see him again. The officer says it will be a surprise.
Well, investigators are like, interesting. Why don't you come to the police station? We will give you a tour, and if you spot that officer, point him out.
The officers were all just kind of like, we don't think he's involved. We want to know if there's a gay here. Just tell us if there's a gay. Where's his friend of Dorothy?
Yeah.
Just point out the Fruit Loop. He's not involved. I mean, a cop wouldn't be, no, but just like, we just want to know. And Andy's like, okay.
Well, surprise, surprise. Andy is walking around the police station and he sees the cop who he had a threesome with. And guess who that cop is? Stephen Rios, the cop who identified Jesse's body at the crime scene. And the cop who had arrested him just 2 months prior at that frat party. So Officer Rios is quickly added to the list of suspects.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the list of suspects because with each one of them, they kind of have starting points, but they don't really have any answers. So it's all of these heads on that yarn board,
right,
but no real follow through with any of them. So now we go back to the night of the murder, the night that Ed decided to go home. And he said after he left the party, he went straight home. And Ed's roommate corroborates that. So Ed is now taken off the suspect list.
Now remember, once Ed turned down Jesse's invitation to come over, Jesse went back to Jennifer's party, but he didn't stay long. And a friend actually saw Jesse when he was leaving. and asked, hey, where are you going? And Jesse said, bitch, I'm going home. I'm tired. And he says, I saw Jesse walk in the direction of his apartment. So now investigators have a little bit more of a solid timeline of Jesse's night.
Police review the timeline with Andy Schermerhorn.
Schermerhorn provides details of his whereabouts on the night of Jesse's murder, and police speak to witnesses who back him up.
So then Andy's like, all right, thanks, guys. Hope you solved this murder. Don't forget that cop I went on that trip to Pound Town with, he's right over there. I don't know if it helps you, but, don't forget that guy. And so we learned that Steven Rios has been on the force for 3 years. He's 28 years old. And the man who was in the threesome with Andy and Jesse, he's got a wife and a 4-month-old baby boy.
Yep. Now remember, again, Officer Rios arrested Jesse at that party. The day after that party, Jesse was hanging with a friend, and he's like, last night I got arrested, and I got a ticket by this dickhead cop. Side note, that dickhead cop is coming to pick me up this afternoon. And the friend was like, wait, what? That's a twist. And the friend says, I literally saw this man pull up in a black truck and pick up my friend Jesse. Well, guess who drives a black truck? Officer Steven Rios.
Now police have to bring that woman in, the woman who saw Jesse get into Officer Rios' truck. Her name is Joan Sheridan. And she's like, oh, that's not even the weirdest thing that happened. Let me tell you some more stories. Back about a month ago, me and Jesse were at a party together, and I was tired. And Jesse said, hey, you know what? Just go crash at my house. I live right here, and then I'll just let myself in when I get home. I'll sneak in. You go ahead, go to sleep. And she was like, actually, that's really great. So she goes to Jesse's house, and at about 3 a.m., there's a knock on Jesse's door.
Well, Joan thinks that it's Jesse, right? Maybe he can't get his keys in the front door. Maybe he forgot his keys. Who knows? She answers the door. It ain't Jesse. It's a man. And then she squints and looks a little harder, and she's like, I know this guy. I know this guy as a cop who broke up a party I was at. Apparently this officer was all over fucking Missouri breaking up house parties.
He loved it. There was nothing much else to do. Is this a party? They're like, we're playing Uno, sir. Keep it down.
Well, it turns out that officer is Steven Rios. And he asks Joan, hey, where's Jesse? And why are you in his apartment? And she's like, cool. I don't really know you other than that you're a literal party pooper.
Also, she's like, you don't come to someone's house and ask the person who answers the door who they are. I'm Jesse's friend. I'm sleeping here. You can go now.
Yeah. But Joan was like, I was at a party with Jesse. He told me I could sleep here. And he's like, oh, well, why don't I give you a ride home? And she's like, why don't you choke? No thanks. Yeah. Good night. And the officer left. Side note, I think that the reason that he was trying to give her a ride home was in case Jesse came home that they could fuck.
What do you mean you think? Of course, yes.
Well, I think that
the shortest distance between fucking is whatever the distance is, and any man is going to do whatever it takes to get to that distance. I did not think through this analogy before I started it,
well,
but you know what I mean.
Neither of us were thinking, okay? So it's fine.
When Jesse later goes to court on the police obstruction ticket he got from Officer Rios, he realizes the charge is serious.
And he was like, oh shit, I thought all that gravy swapping was going to make this ticket go bye, bye, bye. No, it didn't. So Jesse goes to his friend Joan and he says, you're never going to believe this. You know that ticket I got from that guy, that cop I've been hooking up with? Well, number one, it holds way more severe charges than I had anticipated. So if he doesn't drop this, I'm just going to expose him. Because Jesse has the feeling that Steven Rios is hiding something. And he has a gut instinct that something is that he's married, not even that he's straight, or straight in bunny ears, or has a wife, I should say. He just has this feeling that he's married. He'd been acting cagey. And he's like, I actually want no part of that. I don't want to be with a married man. So I don't even think I want to do this anymore. But I really thought this was going to get my charges dropped.
So fast forward a few nights before the murder. Jesse's at his place with his friend Joan, and they're having a sleepover. And he's like, you know, that cop may be coming over later. And I really cannot ignore this gut instinct I have. I really think he's married. And I am not about to be with a married man. And I'm just going to confront him about it because I don't want to be the other woman. Essentially. And Joan is like, yeah, cool. I'm not sticking around for that conversation, so I'm going home. Good night. I love you. Call me tomorrow. So when that information emerges, investigators are like, I mean, that's a motive. That sounds a lot like a solid motive.
It's real suspicious. So now they're contending with the idea that one of their own could have murdered this poor young man. So now they need Stephen Rios' alibi, and they get it really fast because they can look at the books at the police station. On June 5th, Officer Rios finished his shift at 3 a.m., and after he was done, he said he stayed a little bit longer at the police station to have a beer with a couple of officers, and he said he left the precinct at 4:45 a.m. Now, it just so happened, back at home, his poor wife Elizabeth, dealing with a newborn, she's up feeding their son. So she knew that Stephen came home that morning around 5:15 or maybe like 5:25 a.m., thereabouts.
So there's about 30 minutes here that Officer Rios needs to explain. And investigators sit down with him, and he denies the affair with Jesse. Until they're like, we've got like, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got like 500 eyewitnesses that all point you as a man that was having an affair with him. And so finally, he's no dummy. He knows how this goes. And he's like, all right, yes, we were having an affair. Yes, I was sleeping with him. I am not involved in his murder.
Yeah, he says, I was home with my wife. I don't know what to tell you. Please don't tell my wife. So naturally, he is under an immense microscope and tons of suspicion. They take Stephen Rios' DNA. Now they go back to the coroner, and they kind of reassess Jesse's body.
They notice bruising along his collarbone that is consistent with the chokehold taught to police officers called a shoulder pin. The chokehold is administered from behind, and it renders the target unconscious in a matter of seconds.
Well, the coroner also found several hairs along Jesse's collarbone that were not his own. They looked like arm hairs.
They were really thin. So there's actually a forensic files on this season. And you know how they love to gather all the little minutia. Check out our episodes on forensic files. But we're talking, think about how thin and little an arm hair is.
Yeah.
The fact that they obviously didn't see it the first time they checked in, or they didn't take it. So they take these little arm hairs and they test those for DNA. And surprise, surprise, it's a match for Officer Rios.
It is. Well, now they have everything they need to arrest Stephen Rios.
And poor Rios' wife, Elizabeth, she learns in the same day that not only is her husband a murderer, but he's also blind. Gay.
That video will never go away. It just...
It's a play on words.
Yeah, I mean, imagine finding out that your husband has an entirely other life. He is gay, bi, queer, something, but also potentially a murderer.
Yeah.
So the day after she finds that out, Stephen's sister shows up at the house, and she says, Elizabeth, Stephen's on the phone, and he's threatening suicide. Well, Stephen had driven to Kansas City, he bought a shotgun, and he called his sister to say goodbye. Somehow, Elizabeth convinces him to come back to Columbia and turn himself in, which he does.
He comes back, and he was arraigned July 2004, and he was not put in prison. He was actually put in a mental health facility. And there he escaped and climbed onto a ledge and was threatening to jump. They eventually talked him down, and on May 17th, 2005, his trial finally started. Now, this feels really cut and dry because of the DNA evidence, but the prosecution's case, the whole foundation rested on that 30 to 45 minutes of unaccounted time when he wasn't at the police station and he hadn't arrived home yet.
Rios stops by Jesse's apartment on the way home. There's a confrontation, possibly caused by Jesse's threat to expose Rios, if the charges Rios laid against him at the noisy party aren't dropped.
And obviously they got into an argument, because remember, that argument was heard by the neighbor, the throwing against the wall, the stop it. So they kind of speculate as to what they think could have happened.
They think that Officer Rios went to Jesse's house. Like you said, Ellen, there was a confrontation, and that confrontation escalated. It became violent.
And there's many things that this could have been about, right? Because Jesse already said he was going to confront him and say, like, I know you're married. I'm not cool with this. Or maybe it was, hey, I thought you were going to drop those charges. If you don't drop those charges, I'm going to expose you. Whatever it was, it definitely escalated and got physical. So they're thinking, remember the door was found open to his apartment? Maybe Jesse was so terrified for his life that he just ran out of his house to get away from Steven Rios.
And not on the episode, they think that Jesse was running to a friend's house because the direction he was running, he had a friend in the neighborhood. He just lived a few doors down. Unfortunately, he didn't make it because Officer Rios caught up with him and continued to assault him, eventually putting Jesse in a chokehold. And remember that DNA that was found under Jesse's fingernails? It's because Jesse dug his nails into Steven's arm. And eventually Jesse passed out from that chokehold. And while he was unconscious, Steven Rios inflicted a deadly wound to his throat. Now, they never found that murder weapon, but they did find Steven's hair on Jesse.
And then this closeted psychopath goes home to his wife and baby, business as usual. He has a newborn baby at home. Now, at the trial, the defense had a really thin argument. They were like, well, that boy was a slut.
They really did slut shame this man in court. They accused him of being promiscuous, and that DNA could be anyone's. That's what they said.
He had men in and out of there. It was like, Ronald McDonald, come play at my playhouse.
Wow, there's a deep cut.
But it's true. I'm making a joke of it, but that's genuinely what they said. They were like, I mean, you know, sluts are going to slut. What can we do about it? And the prosecution was like, right, we have your client's arm hair and skin under this man's fingernails. Methinks being somebody who is young, 23 years old, experimenting with sex is no crime, but attacking a young man and killing him definitely is. Where is the disconnect here?
Well, also, they tried to point the finger at Ed.
Right.
Ed had an airtight alibi. Ed
They were
was
like,
not.
those aren't his arm hairs.
Yeah, Ed was not involved in Jesse's murder. And then Steven does the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard.
Dumb for him, great for us.
Yeah, he takes the stand. Why would you do that? You know you have the right to not incriminate yourself, right?
Yeah. You can also remain silent, which I actually encourage lots of people to try.
He does admit to having an affair with Jesse, but he denies the murder.
Steven Rios is found guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. He is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
You know, I just keep thinking about that defense painting this poor boy as this promiscuous, gay slut while his mother sat in that courtroom. It makes me really fucking angry. Not on the episode also that was really incriminating for Steven is that he lied. He actually said he left the police station at 5 and got home around 5:15. And it was the officers that he was drinking with that were like, he left earlier than that. And we know because we remarked on the time.
I have a lot of stuff not in the episode, but I do want to ask you this.
Yes.
So we've been doing this for a minute. You scream and shout about how women are not protected, how women are assaulted. Okay, cool. What was she wearing? Did she want to hook up? Is she promiscuous? We hear this story time and time again. There are queer stories out there, just like the stories that we cover with women. And it's not like we don't cover them. There's just not a lot of queer stories in true crime. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we could probably count them on maybe even one of our hands.
Yeah.
And I know you love women. I know I joke that, you know, Joey makes more money than I do and you hate women. It is such a joke because it's so far removed from who you are. Because I know if I texted you, you would fly out here and do anything for me. When I'm with you, I feel protected physically. When I'm with you, I feel protected emotionally. I know you do everything for women. But this has to hit you in a different place than when we're covering women, because I'm a woman, so it hits me in a spot. You empathize with that, and I am an ally, so I empathize with you. So how does it feel to cover a story that could have been any one of our friends?
Could have been me. what do we know? We're trying to figure it out. And like, I was a very naive 23-year-old. I was not taught how to navigate the world in a realistic way. Only thing I knew about was the Bible and church, and everyone there was a good person. So like, I was very trusting. You know, I think this case is so sad, especially because obviously someone like Steven Rios had a ton of internalized homophobia.
Which is sad. Separate from him being a horrible murderer,
Yeah.
that is sad when that happens to people.
It is. And let me tell you something. Internalized homophobia, any kind of internalized hate, those feelings they have to go somewhere. And statistically, men don't emote the way that other, women or therapized gay men do. You know what I mean? Like, men don't know how to express their emotions. Those feelings, that feeling of rage, why am I gay? I hate that I'm gay. Why can't I change? Those feelings have to go somewhere. They stew. And it's really sad because I think, and they said this on the episode, that man would rather not only take a young man's life who I have a feeling he was very jealous of that kid's freedom.
Yeah.
And his freedom to not only be out and queer, but to be proud. But also the fact that he was willing to take that guy's life and take his own. Twice he was willing to take his own life.
Actually, it was 3 times.
Wow.
Not in the episode.
Yeah.
6 days after Valencia died, he threatened to jump off a parking garage. And that's actually what piqued the police to be like, if you're not guilty, why are you acting crazy? So 3 times that we know of, he threatened to take his life. I'm sure that was part of his journey, his emotional journey, his struggle of just existing.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, he would rather take someone's life and take his own life than live an authentic life. It's really fucking sad. And that is why representation matters. It's why when people are like, well, why don't we have a straight pride? Because you didn't have to fight to marry the person you love or fight to have any kind of rights.
To walk down the street holding hands.
Yeah.
Or just to exist. Or to sit on the subway together or kiss in public.
Yeah, those are things that you don't know what it's like. So that is why all of that is important. Still to this day in 2025, I know there's a lot of fears about what's going to happen with this new Trump administration. I know that there's a feeling of wanting to go bye-bye, which I'm going to encourage people to protect your peace but stay active, because people like that will count on us becoming dormant. Don't do that. But it is more important than ever to protect people who need it the most. Protect women, protect trans folks, protect queer folks, protect black folks, protect minorities, everyone. Protect them. We have to wrap our arms around each other and take care of one another. But I would be very curious to sit down and actually have a conversation with Steven Rios and try to understand.
He has done several interviews.
Has he?
Yeah, you should write to him in prison.
Wow. I also want to say, too, I watched a little bit of Jesse's mother talking about him.
Linda.
What a sweet woman. And, he was the first person in their family to go to college.
Yep.
And he was so excited. And she said something to me that really gave me chills up and down my spine. And she said, when he was little, he said, Mommy, I'm not going to die old. I'm going to die young. I'm going to die very young. And she was just like, what a strange thing to say.
Did you hear what else he said?
No, what?
I'm going to die very early in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. They had a very close bond. She had him when she was 20 years old.
Wow.
And they kind of grew up together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she was beautiful. I saw a couple of interviews with her. Also not in the episode. Wait for it. Steven Rios' conviction was reversed.
Oh, to second degree?
Yeah, to second-degree murder. In December of 2008, he was retried by a jury and found guilty of murder in the second degree and armed criminal action. The jury, made their recommendation. So now he's eligible for parole in 2049. I read through his appeal. It was deep. He had many points to this appeal, but the main contention was that the trial abused the discretion because Rios's lawyers had made a motion to dismiss because based on the grounds of jury separation, because 2 of the jurors discussed the evidence in the restroom and they found that the circumstances at the time, it didn't constitute juror separation. And during his appeal, they actually agreed. They also appealed on a number of other things, but he was retried and found guilty for second degree. So that whole life without parole went away. So he will be up for parole in 2049. And like I said, with that added thing about him attempting to jump off of that garage, that was actually what made the police say, like, why are you acting this way? And that's what made them reevaluate everything, because at first they were like, no way, he might have just had sex with this guy. And then seeing that he wanted to take his own life, they were like, ugh, there might be more to this story.
Wow.
But you all, give us some more queer stories. And it's not that I want people to be hurt or die, but I know they're out there.
You know, do you think that they got into this argument and then obviously there was an altercation, and then do you think the thing that made Jesse run out was that maybe Steven grabbed a knife, like one of his own knives? Because they never found that murder weapon.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it might have been from his house. I doubt he went over there with the intention to hurt him. But remember, they made it a point to say Jesse was sassy and he had a mouth. He was studying to be a lawyer.
Right.
He wanted to be a trial lawyer. Like, he had chutzpah, you know, he had that energy. And so he probably, again, we said this in the last episode, when you're young, you feel like you're invincible.
Yeah.
So he's talking back to this guy. They have a sexual relationship. They have a connection or whatever it's going on. He never in his right mind thought that something like that would happen. So he probably was like, drop those fucking charges or I'm going to tell your wife.
Right.
And that probably just clicked.
Yeah,
it probably
he
flipped a switch.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a murderer because also Steven Rios had an impeccable record. That doesn't mean anything, but it's not like he had a history of violence or anything. I think he snapped.
I think he had a psychotic break.
Yeah.
I mean, not that any of it's an excuse. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely not. But the point is, I don't think he went over there to murder Jesse that
Let me
night.
tell you something. When I was that age, I got in fistfights. Somebody said something to me. You called me a fag. We were fighting. I was throwing hands. I would never do that now. Not unless I absolutely had to defend myself. Anyway, this is such a sad story.
It really is. But I'm glad we covered it. Yeah. And this was our last episode of Killer in Plain Sight. Next week, we will be on to Scam Goddess. For the love of friendship, Joey, say something funny.
You know, this is a sad episode, and I don't always know what to say. Sometimes I feel the need to sing because it makes me feel better. You too, right? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. If I were going to a college, and it was at a university in Missouri, I might write a song about it. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah?
Would you like to join me?
Yeah?
Hit it, Henry!
About 10 p.m. cause we're young and we're full of spunk. Gonna kiss a boy, maybe even a girl. Who gives a shit, we're drunk. Got my solo cup and I filled it up with Natty Light. They're playing Fergie, so it's gonna be a good night. The Midwest is so crazy. Everyone here is like boogie, 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 shoot you up, shoot up,
Oh my God.
I know, right?
So I put my hands up, hitting the ball. Oh my God, here's the crossfade. Running out the room like, hugging the bowl like, what was in that damn drink? I'm not okay. Help me load up so dizzy. It's a party in Missouri.
Lord, I'll never drink again. Fix it, Jesus.
Where's my bra? Bow, 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 bow. Thank you, Down Bitches. Thank you so much for being here. We can't wait to bring you a new episode. Please, if you want a little bit more of Joey and I during the week, head on over to our Patreon. We've got lots of goodies. We've got paint parties. We've got watch parties. We've got our merch boxes. You can sit in on our swamp talk. All kinds of things are over there, but if the Patreon isn't for you, we will always be here in your ear holes on Wednesday on the main feed.
And please please follow us on social media. You can find us on all platforms at I Think Not Pod. Also, if you have not checked out our YouTube, what the fuck is you doing?
Parker is doing the Lord's work over there on YouTube. He is working so hard. It's fun to see us. Maybe it's not. It's good to see me, isn't it?
But Parker adds some wild stuff.
He's so
it's great.
funny.
So go follow us on YouTube. You can find us there also at I Think Not Pod. Please like, subscribe, comment, all of the things. And also, one of the easiest things you can do to support us that is totally free, it takes 2 seconds, is to repost our shit.
Thank you. And leave us a 5-star review on Amazon, Spotify, or Apple. We love you so much. I love you, down bitches.
I love you, babies, and I love you, Yellow Marie Marsh, so much.
I love you, Joey. Bye. A box full of merch.
I feel like you're trying to attack me. What's in there? I don't know. Motherfucking buttons. Buttons and old straws, the plastic, no, the paper ones that nobody wants. We stick them right in that box. Send it to you for $5. We'll give it to you. We got some old junk mail in there. We've got some foil, some aluminum foil, maybe a couple of Coke cans empty. Well, whatever we got laying around. What is that? Oh, it's an empty bag of popcorn. We'll put that in there too. Happy merch.